work, the luckier you get, things like that. And there is a lot of sayings from a lot of famous people that kind of have that connotation. And there is, I guess, an element of truth to it, but there's also the reality of that statement, which is sometimes the harder you work, the luckier you get, is true, and sometimes the harder you work, the more injuries you get, the unhealthier you get. So there's this interesting balance between luck and hard work and timing and fate. And so I thought we could explore this a bit this morning, and I could share my own personal beliefs around luck. Equally, if anybody here has any questions, I've got my first startup call at 8:15, so I've got a little bit of time to chat with you guys. If you have any questions on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, you can ask them, and I'll try to answer them before the first caller comes on at 8:15. So I've got two really interesting founders coming on this morning to talk about their ideas. Should be pretty interesting. I'm excited to hear their stories, and as always, they're big ideas that need a little bit of help. So hopefully, between us this morning, guys, we can help these entrepreneurs. If you know anybody yourselves that might need some help, that might need access to, for example, a network of people that can help them, or capital, or they need maybe a client or two to get their business going in the right direction, then feel free to share my link, simonsquibb.com, or share broadcasts like this with people out there that maybe just need a little bit of help. So before my first caller comes on at 8:15, and while I'm waiting for questions to come in, might be too early for you guys to ask questions, I don't know. Then I'm going to talk about two things this morning. I'm going to talk about luck a little bit, and just my theory around luck, so that you guys can, I guess, see, take in what I'm saying, and maybe push back if you don't agree, and feel free. Equally, if you have an opinion yourselves, I'd love to hear it. But I really know for sure in my life that I've worked hard, yes, but to be honest, a lot of the big moments where I've been very successful have been down to luck. So how did I increase my chances of luck? Luck in the dictionary is described as a random occurrence, and I feel that there should be a second definition in the dictionary, which is more about luck is a skill. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. Just before I do, my theme this kind of week, I guess, but part of my whole platform theme is this whole idea that I don't want entrepreneurs to feel alone. And I don't feel like there's any need for an entrepreneur to feel alone. I know when I was building my businesses, sometimes you're so insular in your own idea, you're so busy focusing in on what you're doing and your plan and your thinking, that you don't ever lift your head up and realise that you're not alone doing this. There's a lot of people out there that would help you, could help you, want to help you, and you just need to find that connection, I guess, or find that resource. And so part of my job, I feel these days, is to ensure that no entrepreneur feels alone. So I've done some content that I'll be releasing, hopefully I'll have it all ready to go Saturday morning. So it'll be on my YouTube channel, so youtube.com/Simon Squibb for folks listening on Facebook and so on. And I'm hoping that this piece of content, which is all about the things you can do to not feel alone as an entrepreneur, and what you can do to, I think, increase your enjoyment of your business life. And so I've got 5 tips, it's always good to have a number, five tips on how to make you feel less alone as an entrepreneur. I've been describing them as life hacks, ways to make your business life more enjoyable. Now, I know for a lot of people out there that are in business, sometimes you feel like no choice but to have pain when it comes to building a business of your own. No one else is going to have the same passion and love for the businesses you do, and maybe sometimes there's an argument that you're even embarrassed to share your problems with other people. But if you do it right, I feel like there's just so many benefits to having people that you can trust, that you can share things with. Frankly, even what I'm doing with these broadcasts each day, what I get a lot of feedback from people is it's therapeutic for them to come online, chat about their ideas. Quite often, entrepreneurs, they know the answers themselves already. They just need a little bit of, I guess, someone to bounce the idea off. So I think a bit of therapy, just coming in and sharing idea. A problem shared is a problem halved, and all that. Now, before the first caller comes on at 8:15, I did want to talk a little bit about luck. And a lot of people ask me when I have this theory that luck is a skill, and that the dictionary definition, there should be two, not one definitions. There is one definition of luck in the dictionary, which is right. There is a random thing that goes on that's hard to explain. But in my mind, in a way, that is lacking some intellectual depth. And what I mean by that is, the truth is that luck is something you can control. So the fact there's only one definition in the dictionary saying that it's random, I think is wrong. And I think a lot of people out there do think that luck is random. Now, let me just tell you my breakdown on luck. Now, there's been a lot of people that have written about luck. There is an interesting writer called Gary Benetkin, who's written a whole thesis on luck, and I basically believe exactly the same thing. And so basically I believe that, for example, you have to build up your risk muscle. Fear of loss is much stronger than the desire for gain. So a lot of people will not build up their risk muscle. And I can see some quick questions coming in. Good morning, Jing. How are you doing? Thanks for joining, as always. Do you call it luck because you believe it's completely random? No, I don't, Jing. I think there's two types of luck. I think there needs to be two definitions in the dictionary, and I'm going to go into it a little bit just before my first call, and try and break down that I don't think luck is random. I think there is a random luck. Let's call it luck 1. But luck 2 is not so random, and I can break down probably in 3 points how that works, Jing. So let me try and do that. And I've got a question here. Hi, Simon. Oh, okay. Sorry, Belinda. You're trying to connect with me this morning, are you? I don't know. Okay. Maybe. I don't. Let me just check your email. I thought I didn't have an 8 o'clock one. Sorry, Belinda. Sorry, Belinda. I'm just trying. You just sent me a message saying we're supposed to be connecting at 8, and I didn't think I had an 8 o'clock one. I've got 8:15. But why don't we reschedule, Belinda? So ping me again. Maybe I missed it this morning. If you were expecting to speak to me this morning, but I'm back on Monday morning, so I can schedule in for chatting with you on Monday morning. So maybe just drop me a note, and maybe Belinda, listening to this morning's broadcast will give you a chance to see how this works anyway. So yeah. But look, just before my first caller at 8:15, I just want to quickly run down luck, especially as Jing's also just asked me a little bit more about it. So I want to make sure I get the basics. I think I'll do a lot more on luck. Of course, I've got a podcast show all about luck where I discuss luck with some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. We discuss their lucky moments, and we go into their stories, which are fascinating, and we figure out how luck played a part in those success stories. But here's my quick breakdown, and I will do more on this, but I just, it's in my subject line of the broadcast this morning, so I promised to talk about it. So let me quickly give you a download. First of all, I think to be more lucky, to be a luckier person, these are a couple of things you need to think about. You need to build up your risk muscle. So I think a lot of people are scared to take risk. They see risk equals fear for a lot of people, and then fear feels like something you need to avoid. And my experience is that you have to embrace fear. Fear is actually an asset. It's part of our instinct. It helps. For example, in my case, when I've been fearful in my later career, I learned to use fear as a superpower. So I pushed through. It gave me adrenaline. It helped me fight and win any particular situation I might have found myself in business. And so, but a lot of people, when they feel fear, their instinct is to stop that fear feeling as quickly as possible, which means they shut down or they don't take a risk. And so that's where they're not building up their risk muscle in their brain. I think it's a muscle in the brain, and they get less lucky, to be honest. An example of what I mean around this very quickly is that fear of loss is much stronger for people than the desire for gain. So there was this whole marketing experiment done where there was kind of two ways of putting things to people. The first was, you can save £1 by signing up to our service. And alongside it, they ran another campaign that said, did you know that it costs you £1 every time you don't use this service? So basically the second one, did you know it costs you, was 100 times more popular than you can save £1 slogan. And what that tells you in the psychology of people is that as I say, the fear of loss is much stronger than the desire for gain. So people just don't want to take risks. They don't want to lose what they've already got. They don't want to let go of things that they've done in the past that they see as an investment. And they don't want to let it go and risk it all and go on and do things that they should be doing because they get stuck on that risk thing that they don't want to lose what they've already built, for example. And so the most successful people, and I've done a TEDx talk on this, the most successful people are ones that are willing to risk it all. So that risk muscle piece is really important. The other two things, very quickly, before we jump on to the first call with the first entrepreneur this morning, is I think that persistence should be in any entrepreneur's job description. I know so many talented people that just don't make it because they're not persistent. And so, in fact, I would argue that a lot of talented people expect it to happen just like that. They're not persistent enough. And there's a thing in sales that I don't know where I picked this up from, and I don't want to accidentally steal it from someone else, but it's been a part of my life for so long now I've actually forgotten what it is. But it's called the 9 rule. Basically, the 9 rule is most, let's say, salespeople. Let's pick on salespeople from persistence perspective. I think sales is a good example. It's something I know very well. A lot of the time, people are not persistent enough. And what happens is people will make, let's say, maybe 3 attempts. The average salesperson makes 3 attempts to connect with a client and try and sell them something. And quite often the perception is, well, they haven't got back to me or they don't want it, and they move on. But the 9 rule basically is an example of what I'm talking about. Salespeople, the most successful salespeople in the world follow this 9 rule. And the 9 rule is at least 9 times do you connect with that client, at least, before you even begin to suggest that it's not something that's going to happen. So I always say to a lot of founders who want to make it, and maybe they're struggling, that their job description shouldn't be CEO, that their job description should be persistence. That's what they do. They persist. And I think if you persist, you're more successful. So there's 3 things. 1, build up your risk muscle. 2, persistence. And then the third thing. Now the third thing, I guess is obvious when I say it, but for a lot of people, I think it's surprising how many people don't do this. And this is, to reach a destination, you must first have one. What are people actually trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? Where are you trying to go to? And so often people in businesses, for example, I see people just start a business, and sometimes it's built around the fact they enjoy doing a certain thing, and then they just start it. And that's fine. But often they find that after a few years, they've had some wins and they've had some losses, and they're half lucky, half not lucky, and they wonder why. And it's because they don't have a clear plan of where they want to go. And so I've interviewed some fascinating people on my podcast show that partly, reinforce this for me. And one of them I interviewed was a guy called Hugo Tabar, episode 5, I think. He talked about how people manifest things. So his theory was that if you think about something you want, you can have it. And in business in particular, he's like, what do you want your business to achieve? Where do you want it to go? What's the destination? What's your plan, short-term, long-term? And then by having that plan, you can get luckier. Because you ask the universe, you want to be spiritual about it, you ask the universe what you want, and it gives it to you. Maybe not in the form that you want it to, maybe in a surprising way, but it still gives it to you. So I think being clear in asking what you want helps increase quite dramatically your chances of luck. So I can do more on this. I don't know what you guys think of that quick download. But I can definitely do more around this subject. So that's my quick take on luck. Let me just see if I've got any questions before we jump to my first chat this morning? Sometimes I wonder how it works. I can't actually see if anyone's asking me any questions. I've been doing lives for quite a while now, so I shouldn't have any excuses, but I still find it hard to navigate the system while trying to see all the questions. I think I need a better way to do it. But anyway, yeah, okay. I can't see any new questions right now. So I should be having an entrepreneur join me now. So let me just check on the Zoom what's going on. Yeah. So I think we're just waiting for my first caller to come on. They're having some technical difficulties. So maybe while we're waiting, I can talk a little bit more about luck. I'm writing a book that talks a lot about luck. It talks a lot about my personal journey as an entrepreneur, what I learned, but a lot of it is about luck. And so that book will be out soon. But I researched a lot of luck stories. How did luck play out in people's lives? And there's one story I really liked. It was the 6th of August 1945, and 4 boys were playing on top of a rock, and down below this rock area they were playing in was a lake, quite a shallow lake, but a lake all the same. And the kids were teasing each other that they were scared to jump and who was willing to make the jump. And they were quite sensible kids, you could argue, because one of the kids said, well, we shouldn't jump into that water because it's dangerous, and I know it can be a shallow point in that lake, and if we jump and we could hit our heads and we could hurt ourselves, and let's not be silly, sort of thing. So in that group of 4, that was the conversation. And then one kid said, oh, come on, let's just do it. You only live once. And had that kind of slightly less fearful nature, less planning ahead with worry and concern, what could happen, what might happen. And he said, I'll jump first and show you scaredy cats. Might not have been that exact saying because it was in Japan, but something like that. And this is a true story, by the way. And he jumped and landed in the water. And just as he landed in the water, the 3 boys above watching him hit the water. And as he hit the water, the first nuclear explosion of the Second World War and ever in history against another country went off in Hiroshima. So this is the 6th of August 1945. And as the nuclear bomb hit the ground, the explosion spread out. The 4 kids were caught in the fallout from that nuclear bomb. Now, what was interesting was that the boy who had jumped in the water, as the nuclear radiation passed through where they were playing, which was just outside the city, so not in the centre point of the city, the boy hit the water, and as the radiation hit, he was under the water when the radiation went past him. And as he came up, of course, they all realised something had happened. The 3 boys above, basically, long story short, were hit quite hard by the radiation, but the boy in the water, this might sound hard to believe, but the boy in the water was not hit by radiation in the same way. Now, as I say, nowadays with nuclear bombs, we all think a nuclear bomb hits, we all die. It's probably true, but in the first few versions of a nuclear bomb, and the one that hit Hiroshima in 1945 was actually not that powerful. And so there is actually a whole series of adverts that were built around the research from after the nuclear bomb had hit, where basically a lot of people survived the Hiroshima nuclear hit. And the doctors that studied them figured out that the ones that survived had some sort of cover. So one had been in a bathtub, or one had been underwater when the nuclear explosion hit. And actually, you can go on YouTube, you can see a whole series of funny videos that were produced in the 50s and 60s that were called Duck and Cover. And now, of course, they're a joke to many people, but during the height of the Cold War, when Russia and America thought there were going to be a nuclear explosion between them, Duck and Cover was a way of keeping people calm. And basically it said, if you think there's going to be a nuclear explosion, go under a table, go in a bath, get some cover. And of course, later as the nuclear weapons got more and more powerful, that advert became a joke. It's called Duck and Cover, you should go check it out. But became a joke. This whole thing became, of course, not possible to hide under your desk at school and expect to survive a nuclear explosion. But actually, for the first couple of bombs, which all this research was based off of, if you were covered a little bit, you did reduce quite dramatically your exposure to radiation, and the chances of survival skyrocketed. So here's the point. The boy that took a chance, that ran into fear, that jumped, that didn't think about all the consequences at that moment, he wasn't the unlucky one. Because a lot of kids, 3 kids that didn't jump thought he would be unlucky and hurt himself, hit his head, whatever, jumping in. But actually, he was the lucky one. He went under the water when the nuclear explosion hit, and true story, he lived, survived. The other 3 died of radiation sickness over time, over the next 2 or 3 weeks. But this boy that hit the water didn't. And so, the story, the thing I take from that story is that the boy that took a chance, took a risk, he lived, he survived. And the ones that didn't, actually, although they thought they were being safe, they're the ones that didn't live. And for me, it's a metaphor for sometimes if you go and start a business of your own and you live your real you, it's an amazing experience and an amazing life. Or you can go and get a job that's okay, doesn't quite feel right, but you do it anyway. And something your life isn't quite as good. And so, of course, I'm talking life and death for these 4 boys during the 6th of August 1945 in Hiroshima, but in reality, I'm genuinely talking about enjoyment of life and purpose, and luck will come, I think, if you embrace fear, if you work on your risk muscle. So in that boy's case, it was jumping into the water that he overcame that fear, that risk. He jumped, he had an experience, first of all, and ironically, it wasn't him hitting his head and the other 3 kids surviving, it was the opposite way around. He survived. So, yeah, I find I've got so many stories like that around luck and how it's played a part. And I do find the whole thing pretty fascinating. Now, let me just check this morning if this caller I've got now just can't get online by the looks of it. So if they can't get online, that is pretty frustrating. Let me just see. Okay, well, maybe for a change, I'm waiting for this caller, but it looks like he can't jump online. But I'm always grateful for the folks on YouTube that join and watch, and perhaps just trying to see if there's a way I can get you guys on YouTube to join my Zoom, which I think could be fun. Let me just see if I can do that. Hold on. Okay, so guys, I'm just trying to see if I can invite folks on YouTube to join the Zoom. Let me just see if I can do that. I'm almost there, I think. Okay, guys. Here is my Zoom invite. If you guys on YouTube want to come and join, please don't be crazy. But here's the link. Come and say hi on Zoom. I am waiting for a startup founder to come on, but at least could be a bit of fun for while we're waiting. Oh, actually, my caller has now joined. Managed to get her microphone working, I think. So here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? My caller has now joined. I managed to get her microphone working. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. What's going on?
Not much. Should I tell you a bit more about our business, our company, and some of the struggles that we're facing at the moment?
Please, yeah. I just let you know, you're actually also live on my network, just to make you aware. But please go ahead. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Kayla, I'm one of the co-founders of Ask Winston. I used to work in venture capital for a couple of years, investing in startups. And we used to work long hours, 15, 16 hours, and we thought, how can we make the kind of home services realm a bit more simple? So I guess life outside of work was a bit complicated. So about a year ago, we set up the business to allow busy people to request and manage any home service, such as cleaning, laundry, handyman services via WhatsApp. So we had a good customer base before Corona, had about 60, 70 customers in a couple of apartment buildings, offering that kind of hotel concierge service to those residents. And I think since the lockdown, we've had to shut operations because a lot of the service we do are in-home. So nanny, cleaning, all of the stuff is kind of past the front door. And I think we're beginning to kind of restart our existing operations. I think the big question we have now is how do we kind of reposition our service suite so it caters for kind of the consumption behavioural patterns of people post-corona. So I think people are probably less willing for cleaning, maybe less willing for just DIY jobs. There's a certain set of services people really need after everything's happened, basically. So we've tested a few things, such as contactless grocery deliveries. You pay us a delivery fee and we go and pick up the groceries from a shop and leave outside your door. And we've seen some quite decent demand. But I think the big question is, how do we focus our energy and how do we, simulate what the future would look like in the next 3, 6, 12, 18 months, and then reposition our solution to cater for what we think the future is going to look like in the immediate, in the longer term.
So when just out of interest, I always go back to the basics first. Why this business? Why not something else?
We felt the pain working in the space. So I think it was something that, whilst busy people, it was a struggle to manage life outside of work. And I guess this was a year ago, so I guess times are slightly different. And we looked at the space and we just thought there wasn't really a company that's doing it in what we think is the right way, end to end, from request to completion. One single channel, one single payment solution, where you can get anything done around the home, basically. So that was really the origin. It was our initial pain, and then looking at the market and going, actually, there's nothing really that is doing it the right way. And I think going forward, we want to be integrated to voice and to Siri and all of those voice platforms. So whilst you're on the go, you can say, hey, Ask Winston, can you pick up my laundry, restock my groceries, and it's all taken care of. So I think the kind of 5-6 year vision is very clear, but it's just how do we get there? But I guess to answer your question, it was our initial problem, our initial pain that we felt as a business.
So do you see it as a B2B thing as well? Is there a big business element to it, or is it all B2C?
We think initially it's B2C because we want to build that infrastructure across London. We want to build the supply side, we want to build that brand, kind of like Deliveroo have done. And I think over time we can see the B2B pitch to businesses work with Google, work with Facebook, and then offer this as a platform for the employees to have a better life outside of work, basically. But I think until we build that kind of supply side, until we build that brand, and I think Deliveroo have done it very well because they offer B2B for businesses, B2B catering. And I think they can only do that once they've built a brand and all of their employees are using Deliveroo B2C at home. So I think that transition makes a lot of sense for marketplaces. So, but again, that's probably something down the line, 2 or 3 years down the line. I think for now, it's really B2C. What we think anyway.
For anyone listening, what's the name of your company? Just give it a plug for a second. So, what's the name of the business?
It's called Ask Winston.
Ask Winston. Okay, I'll put it in the comments at the end so people can see it. But maybe just askwinston.com or
.io.
.io. Okay. All right. Great. All right. I think there's a lot of other services out there like that. You probably hear this all the time. I don't want to plug anybody else because you're on, but there are little white rabbits. I'm going to say that you'll probably know what I'm talking about. That go around doing this, right? And I've used that app to do things. How are you different?
Well, I think the main thing is, TaskRabbit and the other marketplaces. They don't really curate the suppliers. So they would have 3,000 handymen, all different prices. You can't really bet the quality. And I think the process to requesting a service is quite complicated. And if you're managing multiple services and you have a cleaning app, you've got a handyman app, you've got a laundry app, etc. So I think the key thing for us is that message voice first. And then from the request to completion, we manage the keys, we manage the logistics, we manage all of the information flow between what job you need and how we get it completed. So I think it's the next iteration of marketplaces that exist. It's V2 of TaskRabbit or V2 of Handy, because it's all the services, one single application, one single payment. And all we have to do is say, hey, I need to fix my boiler, this is the issue, and then we get it done because we manage all keys. So it's more of a managed and all-encompassing version of the existing solutions, curated for the highest quality in your area.
Got it. How long have you been doing it?
About a year and a half.
Right. Is your full-time focus?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think this idea is needed, and I think there's a real market for it. I love the voice focus. I think so many people overlook voice. I have a podcast show, and I spent most of my time making sure that it was voice activated, that people could get entrepreneurial help and advice by just asking Siri. So I think you're definitely onto something with the voice piece. Yeah, I guess. Well, let's call it. You've got a moment of unluckiness for a second, just with this whole coronavirus issue. Luckily, you're not alone. Everyone's going through the same pain in business anyway. I think there is an element of me that think I have to look at the app to probably get into the technology piece. But you've got an app, I'm assuming.
Well, at the moment it's WhatsApp first. So
it's WhatsApp first, right? Okay.
Yeah, WhatsApp first. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So the how many people in the WhatsApp group now? How does it?
So we have about 60 odds. We've got another 100 so that are signed up, I guess, for post-corona. So we're kind of onboarding them. Right. So once things quiet down, the next, I guess, 1st of June is really our kind of our timeline. So once we're at that point, then we'll start onboarding them. They can request services. So at the moment, we're not operating because we shut down basically. But we have them in our list basically. In our contacts.
Well, I mean, I see everyone starting to fire up again now. So you might want to start firing up again. And the first thing I'd probably advise is just have a deeper conversation with the customers if you can. What do they need right now? I mean, I can tell you what I think, and you can say what you think. But why don't we ask the customers when might they need our service again? If we do bring the service back, how can we improve it? What do they need right now? As personal conversations you could possibly have. Do a bit of discovery. That would be right now what I would definitely spend a lot of time on. And then I think there's also, I think we met through a group, and a local group, right? So you're clearly active in those groups too. I think that's another area that's interesting. Just making a relationship with groups. I don't think you have a group of your own, do you?
Oh, we've got a Facebook page, but not a group.
Start a group.
Because I was going to ask you, how would you suggest, in terms of acquiring customers? So the groups is a good example, but in terms of creating your own group, how would you suggest the theme should be? And apart from targeting Facebook groups, what other channels? Because we've tried some ads and they've been kind of so-so. But
to be honest with marketing, I had a marketing firm called Fluid, which I ran for 10 years. I sold it to PwC in 2016. It did such a good job helping clients market their stuff that PwC, the accounts company, bought it. And one of the things I always learned was from one of my marketing heroes, a guy called David Ogilvy. He owned an agency called Ogilvy. And he said once that 50% of what I spend on marketing is wasted. I just don't know what 50%. And so I think with marketing it's a tricky old game. And one thing I love about marketing is just an infinite amount of things you can do. One thing I hate about marketing is there's an infinite amount of things that you can do. And so I think partly, to me anyway, it's about, generally for the businesses that I advise, I try to build community. So that's why I like groups. Now that doesn't mean to say groups are always effective, but on LinkedIn, for example, there are some, entrepreneurs with no time groups. That would be a good one for you in my mind, because you don't have time, no problem. I'm all about saving you time. But I do feel like, if you heard of he's a motivation speaker and this brilliant author, a guy called Simon Sinek.
I haven't, no.
You've got to check this guy out. He's everything I want to be. He's
We have the same name, don't you? So you're halfway there.
Yeah, I'm halfway there. Yeah, I'm halfway there. I'm just missing a few IQ points, I think. But you know, he is brilliant. But he's got a TED talk on why, and I think for what you're doing, you know, you listen to this. I think start with why is the TED talk. But he's got a book on it and a whole platform around it now. But he's once you listen to him, trust me, you're never going to come on another call with me. You'll be like, just listen to him. He's brilliant. And but he talks about why, and I what he talks about I know about already, but I just didn't articulate it in the way that he's done, because he's done it in such a great way. Anyway, now this has become the Simon Sinek marketing show, isn't it? I'm suddenly like, but he is good. But one of the things I think for you that I think could be really powerful is building a story around why you're doing this. You know, like you know what you're doing, and you know how you're doing it, but why you're doing it, and so. You know, my wife, for example, is like, you know, I started my own first business at 15. A lot of people know this. Sorry, guys, who are listening, if you've heard this all before, but I'm thinking Kev might not have heard it, so I'm telling him. But I started my own first business at 15 years old, and, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know. And because I didn't know what I didn't know what questions to ask to get answers that I needed to be successful. And it was very painful building up a business on my own without any sort of someone to bounce ideas off or help me. And I didn't know I could get help. You know, so now I'm a bit obsessed with kind of going back to that 15-year-old me, which looks like 32-year-old you, and I'm guessing your age, by the way. I don't know your age, and help. You know, so I'm kind of motivated by that, right? It gets me up at 8 in the morning to go live on these broadcasts, and I haven't had any breakfast yet, and I haven't thought about what I want to do today. I just want to get online and help people. So that's my why, right? That's why I'm doing it for free. That's why I like helping people like you. So if you have your version of that, you know, and build it into the business, it can not only motivate you, it can motivate people that come into the company, but I think the exciting part is also the marketing piece, because then people are they'll pick you over. You said TaskRabbit, so I'll promote them now. They'll pick you over TaskRabbit. I've had mixed experiences with that app, but you know, I probably already use you now because I know you're local. That's the beginnings of an origin story, right? Yeah. You know, I don't know who the TaskRabbit owners are. I tried the app out because I like trying these things out, and I see good and bad in it, and that's fine. But now I know you, I know you're local, suddenly there's a connection. I'd rather use you. So it's a combination of brand story alongside purpose. And so that's something I'd work on. I think we're coming out of lockdown soon, so I wish you'd done that over the last 2 months, but you've got a bit of time still, but it's hard to get this right, especially making it authentic and genuine and not just some marketing gimmick, because you've got to go reverse it the other way. Most people start as a marketing gimmick and try to back it into the business. And I actually think it needs to come from the core, you know, so your personal history, your personal life, in my view, and you mentioned it slightly with the personal problem you have with managing all these things you needed to get done. And so, so that's just, you know, another thing, but that does link into your marketing question, is the long and short of it. Because for me, if you have a good origin story, then I think people feel connection. And then when you do the marketing, maybe it goes from 50% is wasted to 20% is wasted. And I think groups, by the way, are totally underutilized as far as marketing is concerned. There are huge groups out there. You should start a group of your own. Maybe the theme at the initial outset, I don't know the ins and outs of your business, so I'm just, you know, brainstorming with you really, but maybe the initial outset piece should just be, you know, and this might sound counterintuitive, but just try to give value before you ask for anything in return. So it could be like the 10 things to do to ensure that your house is clean but not polluting you or causing you damage. So maybe it's the 10 correct liquids to use to clean your floor. And I know my I want to be very careful. My wife is she doesn't do all the cleaning. I just like to say I also do some of the cleaning, but you know she does. She's very careful about, you know, reading the product information in the liquids that we use to clean the house. And I know, you know, we've got a 2.5-year-old, so you know we don't want him, as he does lick the floor quite often for some bizarre reason. We don't want him licking, you know, something poisonous off the floor that cleaned the floor and killed the germs, but he's just licked it and it's still wet. So anyway, I'm just thinking, you know, a group that advises people on, you know, products that could be good around the home, and almost like, you know, doesn't sell hard initially. Use our service, you don't need to know about cleaning products, but can be more like, we know that some people are still going to clean their home on their own. So here's some tips to, clean glass. Here's some tips on how to get that oven sparkling and, blah, blah, blah. It could just be that, a group on cleaning tips. I'm just picking on something as an example.
Yeah.
But that group, I've got a group I've just started. It's entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. And very simply, that's it. I'm very careful about who I let in the group. Right now it's small. It's only 50 people, but it's 50 people that are global. A lot of them listening now that really do actually make an effort to help anybody in that group. So it doesn't, one person helping one entrepreneur in that group can end up being, $1 million contract or a partnership or, so it doesn't need to be big necessarily. I'm a member of a startup group that's got 1.2 million people in it. And that sounds like a great number, but sometimes when I post in it, very little amount of people see that post because so many people are posting in it. Yeah. So there's a combination of, big groups where you can get mass connection, but maybe the connection is not as deep. And then you've got smaller groups where you get less mass, but you get a deeper connection. And I think leveraging groups, both having your own group, it doesn't cost you anything, first of all. Right now, Facebook might change it, but there is no cost to doing it except time. So if you've got a little bit of time before the lockdown lifts and you have to go full steam again, maybe build at your own group and maybe join a few groups where you think you can add some value. That's my quick take. I know we only have a short time together this morning. I've got someone else waiting who wants to talk about their idea. But I hope you found the basics useful.
Oh, I really appreciate that, Simon. And if I have any other questions about groups and stuff, can I drop you a message on?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I basically what I'm doing, I'm getting a lot of inquiries from wanting help, and I want to help everyone. So my idea is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will come online for an hour and try to help people. So you can come on and join again another live. Equally, you can just send me an email as well, and I'll try to reply, and we can go back and forth. I find it a little harder to keep up with all the emails. So I do like to have chats like this, but now we've met for the first time, I can allocate half an hour for the next time we chat, and I can also post a little bit about what you might need in my network, so that the people that can help can join. So it can also be a soft marketing system for you too. But anyway, maybe we can join another chat maybe next week and get into it a little bit more. In the meantime, feel free to email me. I can send you, once you've emailed me, a few groups that I think might be useful, and we can get into that. But I do think they're free, so there's kind of no harm to do them. And we can get into other things that I find to be useful, like email. I still think is useful. I think having a good way of connecting with your clients, of collecting email addresses and having a way to have an engagement with clients outside of WhatsApp groups, because WhatsApp ultimately is someone else's platform. At any point they could just turn it off, and you don't want to get caught out and stuff like that. So that's how I play it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the tips, Simon. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome. All right, well, nice to speak to you. I'm going to let my other guest in now, and we'll speak again soon, mate.
Have a lovely day. Take care. Good weekend.
Cheers, and you.
Bye-bye.
So, morning, everybody. Morning, Luke. Thanks for joining. Hey, Kelvin. Thanks for joining. Nice to see you guys. I will send Kelvin. I'll put the web link into the startup I just spoke to at the end of the broadcast. That will be in the comment section of the broadcast. The broadcast feature. Yeah, I agree. The broadcast feature on WhatsApp's a good idea for Dinesh. When he emails me, I'll tell him about that. So I've got another guest now waiting to join. So let me just. His name's Steve. He's got a startup. He's going to explain it to us, what it's all about. I think it'll be pretty interesting. So he's been waiting a bit. Let me get him in.
Hello.
Good morning, Steve. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thanks very much. I haven't had my breakfast yet, or my coffee, so but that's good. That's good. I just came off a chat with another entrepreneur who's got a really interesting app. So I get very excited about people's ideas. But you're live on my channel as well, so my network is listening to you. And thanks for joining. And shoot, tell us what you're up to.
Yeah, so my name's Steve Wilsons. I'm the CEO of Last Basic, which is a startup based in Madrid. And we are a team that's developing a digital platform to make hardware product development more approachable and accessible. So generally put, our platform is connecting inventors, designers, engineers, makers, suppliers in order to build a more modern marketplace for product development. Historically, this is hard and complex, and I come from that industry of traditional consulting. Back when I was in the Bay Area for 10 years, I worked for consultancy and felt the pains that our clients and our engineering teams felt as you went through the process to develop tech products. So we're trying to simplify that at Last Basic, and we're doing that through utilizing the sharing economy with creating a network of experts, as well as creating a digital platform that is a tool essentially to guide people through the invention process.
I like it a lot. I was based in Hong Kong for 20 years, so that was kind of a manufacturing portal for China.
Yeah.
Shenzhen in particular, which are some ridiculous stat like 90% of the world's patents are in Shenzhen.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in China.
Yeah, then you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I mean, even in Hong Kong, on the doorstep of China, the production of hardware was always a stress. No matter people in England, I'm in London, so even people here. I mean, they'd love to make. I know a lot of people that could create some brilliant products, have no idea how to get it made. So if you've got a solution that helps people do that, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, so we're working with people like that. Our target market is people that are afraid of doing product development. They see it as too overwhelming and not approachable. And so we're targeting that area that's untapped. Less the big brands that are driven. Their innovation is driven by the larger consultancies. We're focusing on home inventors and people with an idea that they want to make a reality.
Yeah, I don't know why my mind. I mean, forgive me, I don't know the ins and outs, but my mind jumped to like a reverse partnership with people like Indiegogo or do you know Indiegogo? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of doing a campaign where like you've got a product idea, and we can help you, sort of thing. And working with them as a campaign to get them to, a lot of people out there want to start something like you say, and they don't know how. I mean, then they go on Indiegogo to raise the money to build the product. It's kind of.
Yeah, so typically our clients currently, we have active clients on our platform now that have gone to Kickstarter and done, but we're taking them from that early napkin sketch point of view and guiding them through the process, introducing them to our expert community and having that kind of free flow of information happen. So the client is kind of leading the development with Last Basic as their support.
So what do you need today? Where are you at? What do you need?
So our team is growing, and we are building our platform to help us scale to achieve our targets of a specific amount of clients per month and a specific growth in our expert community. And we are looking to close around to 400K euros this summer in order to support our launch. And we already have 200 committed to support our launch to achieve this goal.
Sounds like a reasonable round. So technology-wise, what proprietary bits of this business are there?
There's many tools inside of Last Basic that we're developing. Overall, it's a consolidation of product development into one platform, which is rare. So consolidation of all the design tools required for the experts so for a freelancer to make their lives easier, they go into Last Basic and they have a really easy user experience to go in and do the work they want to do, which is the creative work. And we're connecting them with project management tools, as well as product development tools to connect the phases along the process, from the creative phase to the technical phase to the production phase. So those interconnection communication points, we're creating tools and ways to communicate around that.
So the monetization piece, how does that work? What's the plan?
So we are already actively generating revenue, but our client joins on with an upfront payment, and our pricing is on lastbasic.com. But it's a set price, and once we deem the project feasible for our model, the process is started by a one-time payment, and then we distribute funds to our experts depending on the complexity of the project. And the final deliverable is a functioning prototype to the client. And we have two models. One is our Pro package, which includes hardware development, including electronics, and the functional product. And then we also have a pre-production package that we're testing, where we are working with suppliers to connect them to the client to create multiple prototypes.
What's the use of funds? What's the plan?
The use of funds would be definitely for the software development team and building out the tools and the back-end infrastructure for us to allow us to scale properly and achieve our targets, and eliminate some third-party tools we're using currently in order to integrate all this into one seamless platform.
Yeah, I can think of quite a few people that might like to invest in this. I'm also interested. I think I don't know. I mean, I do think people like Indiegogo are like also natural partners, or Kickstarter for.
Definitely. So what I said before was we have a few clients that go through that process, and that is their goal for sure. Indiegogo or Kickstarter, they want to do video, but we're getting to that point where they're ready for that.
Have you spoken to them, Indiegogo folks?
No.
Okay, I think I can. I know the person who's running Europe. I mean, I think they could also invest. You see, just an idea. But I think they would be a good strategic partner.
Yeah.
And I can see them doing a whole campaign around. They're about encouraging people to create something, and then they're going to help them fund it. But I think they actually need to get people at the stage you're talking about, that idea on a napkin, because a lot of people get to the idea on a napkin and then just give up, and it never comes onto Indiegogo.
Yeah, it's an overwhelming process. It's once you see that vision that you have, people quickly get afraid when a lot of companies come to them and tell them about all the headaches they're about to run into and how much risk there is, which there is, and I'm fully aware of that, and our team is. But we're trying to disrupt that conversation in our industry, and really just be a coaching tool for people to develop more.
Yeah, I think the coaching piece is interesting too. I'm also thinking, do you know the Liam Fong and those guys?
No, most of my career was spent at PCH, which is based in Shenzhen.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know PCH well.
Their hardware development team.
Liam and those guys, yeah.
Yep. So my background is with them, and yeah.
Yeah, this is right up their street too. Are they investors in this?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, I was actually just thinking about how this, in a way, is like a digital version of an accelerator, isn't it? There's an element of it that's like that.
Somewhat of an accelerator, but we are putting the control in the hands of the client, right? It's their journey to develop their product, And we are facilitating that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I hear this. I don't think you're going to find it hard to raise the money you're after. My only fear is that it's not enough, and I think that I would like to get into the marketing side a bit, because I think, as always, it's about traction, right? I mean, I don't think you're going to have a problem raising the money if you've got traction. And so yeah. I mean, today's call was just a quick get to know each other, and I've got a few people that say I'm broadcasting this now, so it's my network's hearing it too. I mean, a couple of good suggestions coming in, which you may or may not have thought of, but Vishesh is just saying to me, and I think it's a good point he's making. There's also an opportunity for you to do this with corporations, right? I mean, a lot of corporations also struggle, frankly, with the innovation process.
That's another model we're approaching, which is, well, one other model we're looking into is, and we're actually testing, is a lot of design agencies have unused capacity in their headcount. So as consultancies are always doing a lot of business development and not actually doing the project work, we're also looking to fill that role of being a business development lead generation tool for those design agencies. So we have a constant stream of clients coming in through our ads, our digital ads, and if those projects don't fit within our last basic model, we can push those out to our agency partners as well.
Yeah, I mean, do you know IDEO? You know the agency?
Yeah, I've worked with IDEO.
Yeah, they're a good example.
As a consultant. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good one. They're a good example. I know. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I'm into it. I like it. When are you closing this round?
We were looking in July, beginning of July.
Okay. I'd like to have a deeper conversation about this.
Great.
So maybe let's schedule a longer call. In the meantime, I'll put a little list together of people I think can help you or can support. But I'd like to go a little bit deeper into the marketing side and see,
Great.
if I can see where the traction comes. So yeah, I forget how we got connected.
Through my CEO, Alejandro. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Contacted
That's right. Yeah. It's such a small world, isn't it? I'm in London, but PCH, all that.
Yeah, I noticed you have some similar contacts to me. So
yeah, I think that's some 80 common contacts or something. I'm like, okay, the world is so small and so
it's
random, but I like the idea a lot. I think anyone that's listening today out there, I think they can help or support. Please let me know. Vishesh, thanks for your comment. Steve, thanks for your time.
I appreciate your time as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so ping me again. Maybe next week we can have a longer conversation, and hopefully we can get a little bit more into the detail of the numbers. I'll go through the deck more carefully, and as I say, I'll make a list of people that I think might also be able to help, and we can go from there.
All right, great.
All right, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you. Have a great morning.
See you and you. Bye.
Bye.
So that's the second call of the day. Someone has asked to join my Zoom, so I'll just say hello. Why not? Hello there. How you doing?
Yeah. Hi.
Who's
Can
this?
you hear me?
Who's this?
Amol Chaudhary. Remember yesterday I saw you on 100x VC call.
Oh right. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I sent you an email and I sent you a message from your website and got your reply.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I remember. Yes. How's it going?
Yeah, going good.
Good. What did you think of the chat yesterday?
Sorry?
What did you think of the chat yesterday with 100 VC?
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially the I saw your most of the videos overnight, and I liked your approach towards the law. Luck. Luck.
Yeah, it's
because,
a bit different.
Basically I was having idea about luck is very surface level, like either luck is there or not luck is there. So I was not a believer of luck.
Right.
But the way you go deep by having fearless thinking and trying and taking risk, that approach actually tells the luck very deeply. That approach I really like.
Oh, I'm glad it was useful to you. I'm actually coming to the end of my my broadcast this morning, so I can't stay in for long. But is there anything I can quickly do to help you?
Yeah, basically, I'm running a startup in India called villanima.com. So it's a SaaS-based digital services for the Indian SMEs. So 5 years ago, I started this product for developers and builders in real estate. Okay. So after a couple of years, demonetization happened in India. So we were having around 27 customers, but we started losing the customer because of the government policy like demonetization, cashless India. Because in India, there was 90% of the business were running on the cash, and they were using our solution only to manage their inventory and sales and all these things. So for that purpose, we pivoted into restaurant segments 2 years before, and we got around 14 15 restaurants on our platform just to do managing their sales, inventory, POS, accounting, and post sales activities. And right now, due to COVID, actually we lost almost every customers, and we are actually running out of cash as well. But basically, what we are thinking, since we are in this business right from last 5 years without any external money, and everything from my saving as well as my brother's saving, what we want to do is now to pivot into the restaurant segments. Okay, with having an idea of contactless dining, like there will be a chance that we don't know whether at what point of time the restaurants will be reopened in India. But once they reopen, we want to give them the privilege of contactless dining, where there will be a QR code on the table, so customers can directly scan the QR code and jump onto their product menus and offerings, and whatever the orders they will be placed will be routed into the kitchen, because the rest of the 90% infrastructure we already have online as well as offline over our product.
So your idea, just so I can clarify, your idea would be to create a contactless environment within a restaurant, so that there's no need for a waitress or a waiter.
Correct.
And
exactly.
People would just make an order and it would go direct to the kitchen. And
exactly.
you're removing the need for an interaction with a waiter or waitress, right?
Exactly. Customization of their orders, like spicy, medium spicy, waiting for their order.
Part of me likes the idea, part of me hates the idea. I just more unemployment. Like one less job in the world right now. But I know at the same time, automation is automation, so I guess it's just the way it is. But yeah, I think there'll be a market for it. As always, ideas are easy. I think a lot of people have tried to automate the dining experience over the years with order on an iPad kind of idea, and you don't need to have a waiter or waitress. I guess before coronavirus, people just like to have the waiter and waitress interaction. It's part of the dining experience in most places anyway. I think McDonald's have done a pretty good job at creating let's say a seamless, you go in there, you touch a screen with what you want, and then you go pick it up from the front counter, right?
Exactly.
So it's happening, but even then you're touching screens, which I think people are going to not want to do going forward. But yeah, so where are you at with this idea? What stage are you at?
So basically, if you talk about the product developments, we are having 8 members team, and we are running this product almost for a couple of years. And right now we're having 15 restaurants running. Only thing is the QR part and scanning is remaining, like prototype. But rest of the product is already ready, 90% of the product ready, because we are already serving in. What we want to do is right now we are providing tablets and iPads as well as mobile apps to the captains or waiters, and they are taking the orders and routing into the kitchen. So that product is already ready and it's running in 15 restaurants right now. All we need to do is just take that device from the waitress or waiter and give it to the customer or empower customers. And it's only for timing, because COVID is definitely going to affect restaurant business a lot. And what we think is, as you said, I totally agree with you that it will be a job loss for the waitress and captain, but it will definitely, bring back the restaurant business very easily on track in post-COVID era.
Yeah. Well, look, a couple of things because I've run out of time, but I saw you jumped on, so I wanted to say hello. But a couple of things. First of all, have you spoken to Sanjay about this?
Uh, well, I spoken to Shashank on this.
Okay, that his brother, right?
Yeah,
You mean,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think he's my man in India as far as the market concerned. I mean I spent a lot of time in India, but I don't know the market very well. So yeah, I always talk to him about ideas like this. So but anyway, what did his brother say? What was the reaction?
So right now, I have a couple of ideas. Like this one is one prior idea. I'm just looking to, what will be the impact. I'm just looking, doing impact analysis, and right now the product is ready. So I'm looking for funding or mentoring right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, look. I've got one of my people in my network just saying they know someone at Zomato. Would that be useful to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
All right. Well, I'll Vishesh, thanks for offering that. If you don't mind sending me through the contact on that, and I'll pass it on. That's really kind of you. Thanks, Vishesh. Vishesh is also an investor in India, so maybe I can also connect you up. Well, look. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story. You're clearly an entrepreneur trying to think ahead. I can see it. You've got a existing startup running, and this new version of it running in your head. So, good for you for adapting. And the entrepreneurial journey is never easy, but
Yes.
you look like someone who's trying to make luck happen. So good for you. Send me. You've already emailed me, right? So maybe just send me some information on this, and I'll try to digest it a bit more carefully, and
Okay.
see who I can introduce you to that might be useful. And
My pitch deck is based on my original old idea.
right.
And do you want me to, tweak it as per this QR code or contactless dining idea?
Yeah, I think you should make something for yourself anyway about this idea if you haven't already, and make it a little bit clearer what you plan to do, and then it makes it easier for me to share with busy people.
Sure, I'll do that.
All right, mate. Well, good luck with everything. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your valuable times.
Not at all. Take care. See you.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Okay, folks. I think that's basically it for today. I want to thank everybody for coming online. Vishesh.